Good evening. Welcome to the CEN show, a platform where the people's voice is valued and informative. I'd like to introduce you to Brother Mooco. Brother Mooco, how are you doing this evening?
Fantastic. And still learning as well.
All right. So let me tell the audience about how I came in contact with you, Brother Mooco. I'm a staunch listener to Neely Fuller Jr., and he has a show every week on ProduceJustice.com. And before that, he was on Talktainment Radio, and he had a platform with various hosts, and the last host was Mr. Bobby. So I was able to get in contact with Mr. Bobby and ask him for an interview. And I did an interview with Mr. Bobby, and it was excellent. And then I had noticed a few years back, it was a gentleman that used to come on the show, and it was Brother Mooco, and he always spoke about a care unit. And the care unit, to me, I thought was a organization, but it was actually a term that he got from Neely Fuller, and then he sort of organized. Well, he'll tell you more about what he did, but I thought it was very interesting because the brother seemed very informative and just seemed like a kindred spirit, it seemed like to me, because I was like, this brother got it going on to me. So I decided to reach out to Mr. Bobby and see if he could ask Brother Mooco, could I speak with him? And he got in contact with Brother Mooco, and Brother Mooco said it was okay for me to contact him. So I'm very excited to introduce this brother and also let him share some information with us. So, Brother Mooco, can you tell us more about yourself?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That was that is how it happened. My name is Brother Mooco. I'm a brother from Baltimore, actually. I've been an avid listener of Mr. Neely Fuller and a follower of Dr. Francis Cress Welsing for about the better half of maybe a decade, maybe a little longer now. And you are correct. You are correct, brother. I am an avid listener to the show, and I would call in. And what it was, I heard Mr. Neely Fuller use the term care unit, and I thought that was pretty interesting because he explained that in this system of racism, white supremacy, and according to counter-racist logic, black people couldn't have families. And I thought that really strange and odd. But, once I dove into it a little bit more and tried to I examined the evidence of what Mr. Neely Fuller was saying, and I found it to be true. If you are considered non-white and this system of racism, white supremacy, you definitely do not have a family. And so that's when I really started using the term care unit towards my attempted family here in Baltimore. And what I found is that a lot of people first didn't agree and didn't like to be considered or referred to as being part of a care unit, but after they examined it and looked at the evidence like I did, they understood and said, wow, I guess we are care units, and a care unit is simply a group of individuals that may be blood related or not, but care about each other. And they together have discussions on how to counter and or eliminate racism, white supremacy. And so that's the main purpose of a care unit, is to lessen confusion about the current condition that we're in. And first, recognizing this so that we can change it or correct it, you know. But that's what my main purpose of a care unit is for, and that's what actually made me start branching off to different care unit members that I have in different states. And all that is different individuals that I know, and we keep in touch and have discussions about countering and eliminating racism, white supremacy, and just sharing what racism is and how it works, because a lot of us, even myself included, since we were young, and I say younger than what we are now when we were born, a lot of us either don't have discussions about racism, white supremacy, or are very, very, very confused about what it is.
Yes.
I know that was a long run on.
Oh no, that is excellent, man. I mean, I could. Hey, I'm glad we got you on here, because you put that in terms that I could understand, and hopefully everybody else can understand where you're coming from, because it is what it is, and we should really look to change our condition as people, because and I'll give you a small example. Okay, we got these holidays coming up, and according to Brother Kamal Kamban, they're called horror days. So we got these horror days, holidays coming up,
right.
And when you talk to people, especially people of color, they act like it's mandated and it's mandatory for us to celebrate these horror days. And I'm gonna get off of this because I want you to talk more, but I'm gonna say this. It's a horror day coming up called Christmas.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
if you ask me, there's so many people that get turned out behind Christmas, it's a shame. And they go crazy trying to buy people's gifts that they really can't afford, but they will sell the house to get a Christmas gift. And, it doesn't make any sense. And then I can go ahead and admit that I was really turned out at one point, and I was willing to do something that I shouldn't do in order to try to please family members or care unit members to get some Christmas gifts. So, yeah, we really need to change how we think. Okay, brother, did you want to elaborate on that, or you want me to move to the next question?
Well, actually, that's a good topic, and that is actually a good key point that you bring up. Horror days. Wow. I hope Brother Kamal doesn't mind me stealing that.
Oh,
wow,
man.
Or not stealing it, but just using it. Horror days. Wow, that is definitely a great description for what they call or taught us as holidays. Yes, these this is another reason for the care unit and why I've not, it's just like you said, it's not an organization, but this is why this is needed, because just like you said, these horror days have been brought to us as first of all on lies, mostly all of them, no matter how good or bad, because we got some bad ones that that one just went past Halloween. These holidays play a very, very intricate part in our non-constructive nature. Just
Yes.
like you just brought up the one Christmas. Yeah, you are right. I know that around those times, especially Christmas, Thanksgiving, suicide rates go up because
Wow.
because of these holidays and the way that we stress ourselves out by spending so much and getting so much unnecessary non-constructive um things, gifts, presents. I actually used to participate in those, but when starting to listen to Francis Cress Wells and then reading the book, The ISIS Papers, really made me understand how redundant or backwards it was to celebrate, especially when we're in the same position that we've been in since we have been released from quote unquote slavery.
Mm.
Or since the slaves have been transferred, as nearly full of puts it a lot of times, and that's totally correct, by the way. That was a perfect analogy that he made, slaves being transferred. So I try to in my care units, and most of my care units consist of individuals that are younger, in the teenage range, early mid 20s, because that's the generations that I feel like need this information the most in order to take us to a better plateau. But I try to express to my care units how it is actually important not to celebrate any holidays, no birthdays or anything of that nature until we eliminate the system of racism, white supremacy. Because actually, every celebration just distracts us further and further away from eliminating the system of racism, white supremacy. And even celebrating a birthday, celebrating a promotion, all those things are for real non valid right now until we eliminate this so wrong system of racism, white supremacy. And I feel like, us being set up and duped up to celebrate any holiday is just a way to distract us further from eliminating the system of racism, white supremacy. It really takes us out of focus. It almost takes us into a fairy tale land that kind of stops the progress of eliminating racism, white supremacy, and it continues to perpetuate it. It continues to just make it worse and keep it strong and keep it going on. So I that's one of those things that I take out of Neely Fuller's handbook, not celebrating, and I think that I express that to my care units a lot because it is the best way to distract them in every area of people activity. If we had a group of people and we say, hey, let's celebrate today. We didn't eliminate racism, white supremacy, but we sure did put a nice dent into it. And everybody will say, yeah, let's start celebrating and break out the champagne and the birthday cake. And, after all of the celebrating is done, you open your front door and the police or a race soldier, attempted police, but a race soldier has his knee in a brother's neck that looks just like you. And, we just got finished celebrating like that was gone. So it's a real big distraction. And holidays, all those days, we just need to eliminate those things because they were not created for us, and they may have been some that were created by us, but just like I said, right now, trying to eliminate the system of racism, white supremacy, they're just distractions. Celebrating birthdays, promotions, holidays, horror days, it's all a big distraction to stop you from working against racism, white supremacy.
And, it took me a while to realize that, but I came into the realization after doing some analyzing. If you sit back and take a look at things and study it, then you could see. And then you have a person like Neely Fuller Jr. is an ultimate mathematician, and he probably wouldn't say that, but he is an ultimate mathematician because logic ain't nothing but math, and that's what he teaches, logic. And that's a good segue into the next question. So, what is how important and what is the significance of Neely Fuller Jr. to you?
Oh, whoa, that's a serious question right there. I'm gonna tell you, Neely Fuller Jr. is not important, and I'm gonna say that again. I know that sounds crazy because I say Mr. Neely Fuller Jr.'s name all the time, but Neely Fuller Jr. is not important. But what is important is the message that he bears about being codified. And I say this all the time, and at first, actually, he says this all the time. It's not about Neely Fuller. It's not about following Neely Fuller. And when I used to hear him say that, I used to, think to myself, like, what do you mean? I understand you don't want us to follow you, but how can you not take credit? And the longer I listen to him and talk to Mr. Fuller personally and on the show, I got a really good understanding of it's not about the man, it's about the plan. Dr. Henry Clark said it best, you bury the man and you continue to plan. All these things that we have been taught traditionally, I know it's going to be hard to break the habit of doing these things backwards. But Mr. Neely Fuller, and the importance of Mr. Neely Fuller is to show you the example of, hey, it can be done under the hardest conditions. I think about it now, Mr. Fuller is about 80 years old plus. And
can I chime in? He's 91.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what I said, 80 plus, so that's 91, right? So Mr. Fuller has been around for the better part of a century now, close to it. Yeah, he's a couple numbers shy from it. So for him to maintain a position of being a counter-racist, soldier, or, well, he wouldn't say that. I guess a person that works towards countering racism for so long and to stay on code and to show the example. Because, Mr. Fuller isn't on, he's not on any FM radio station. He's not on your television, trying to shove any of this down your throat. But he has stayed on course the whole time that I've known of him. So that is just a great example, I think, to any young person about staying focused. Even though I know Mr. Fuller says all the time he grades himself very poorly on staying focused. But I feel like that's the importance of even knowing a person like Mr. Fuller, or being interacting with him, or even having a conversation with him. He's a really, really, really valuable asset to this fight. But I do understand that, and I'm not happy to say this at all, but I do understand that when it is time for Mr. Fuller to transition, it'll be brothers like you and I here to carry that torch, and we'll create a spot for the younger generation to step into this way and make it the way of the future, being codified until we eliminate this. Ultimately, that's my answer. Mr. Fuller is a very, very valuable asset, and I feel like a lot of us should at least start to follow in his codified ways of being codified. Black self-respect and all. Yeah. So Mr. Fuller is a real intricate part. He's important.
So I'm gonna just add to it a little bit because sometimes that's what I do.
Right.
And
right.
Now I used to coach track. I coached track for 2 years in a row. I inherited a good track program. I was the sprint coach.
Okay.
And I had to, even though I ran track as a kid, and then I didn't, matter of fact, I long jumped in high school for a little while and in junior high school. So I'm an athlete. I can say that. I can safely say that. So I became a coach after a while. After I finished playing basketball, I became a coach. And I started off coaching track on the high school level. That's the first position I got. And I didn't know too much about, the relays. I just know I saw them all. But one thing that when you're running a relay race, it's normally 3 other people and you, and you got to pass that baton, right? So when you think about Neely Fuller Jr. and how much I've been listening to him, and I know you've been listening to him, and you even talked to him, and the torch will be passed, the baton will be passed, and then it's important not to drop it. Do not drop the baton.
Right.
And I can tell that you're really, just by talking to you about 3 times, I know that you're focused on what you're doing and you understand the importance of what's going on. And I definitely understand, and I'm doing something about it. And hopefully I'm going to be passing that baton on to somebody. But man, you really on top of it, bro. I'm listening to you. Okay.
Well, I would like to think that I am, but I'm trying to get on top of it, brother.
Okay.
I'm never going to stop. Just like I think I told my son this about a week ago, and I mentioned it to you when we were talking one time before, that I'm going to die doing this. Something that I look forward to, not dying, but changing something before I transition. And I'm hitting it pretty hard every day. I'm definitely not going to quit. And I suggest that you don't either.
I'm gonna do my best. That's what I'm gonna do.
Right.
I'm gonna do my best. So I'm gonna transition to the next one.
Okay.
I'm about to give you some of the basic questions we've been asking since I started and I guess I started in, was it April? I forget. But
okay.
What is the state of Black people?
Ooh. Oh man. The state of Black people, we are right now we are at we're at a crucial point where it's either do or die right now. We're the state of Black people right now is do or die. We are under extreme pressure, but at the same time, we're at a place right now where I haven't seen us in this spot since let me rephrase that. The first time since I've been born. Okay, this is the most crucial position that Black people have been in, and the reason, and I'll tell you the reason why I say that. We have a lot of things on the table of discussion right now as far as like reparations. I've never heard reparations being talked about in my history of living or in anything that I've ever read, other than back in 1865, when reparations were, when they were talking about reparations for slaves. And I wasn't physically there then, I just read about it. But right now, I see a lot of non-white people waking up to logic. And that's a good thing. But I also see a lot of, our era, I call it half-stepping, uh, half in, half out, a lot of collaborating. But I do see a lot of, it's kind of like half and half. It's the good, then you got the bad. Right now, I feel like we are in a position where we could be more constructive, or we could just say forget it and be non-constructive. We're at that point right now where the tipping scale can go either way. So I feel like that makes our job, individuals like you and I, and others like Jason Black, Tariq Nasheed, I mean, even your teacher, Professor Amin Ra,
Sure.
individuals like us, this makes our position really crucial right now because a lot of the younger generation, they don't have those they don't have too many reliable sources with that are grounded, and I mean grounded in logic, speaking to them right now. The black race is very, very emotional right now, and a lot of them aren't tapping into logic like they should, but they're coming around. And I feel like the more that individuals like you and I and other individuals I just mentioned and others in their different perspective states and cities, I think if we keep beating the drum and not beating the drum in a way where we are belittling and downgrading our younger generation, which is our soldier class, but giving them the information and the knowledge that they need, because that knowledge is power, but it also creates another power that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, which is confidence. It's not by I always tell people in my care unit, I say, it's this is so this design is so crazy. This is not by coincidence that I can go outside my door and just pick a random black person that I don't know, but I can guarantee that they cannot go 3 sets of grandparents on either side of their family. They cannot go back 3 sets of grandparents on either side of their mother's side of their family or their dad's side of the family. That kills the confidence of a people or a person. If I'm going in a room and I don't even know who my grandfather was or what he did or what my grandmother did, nor her mother or father, that eliminates a thing called confidence. And when you have confidence when you walk in a room, just the basic confidence of knowing who you are and your family lineage, that takes you a long way. But we don't even have that. And that is crucial. That is warfare. That is war. When you eliminate a person's history and that is an act of war. And it's very important because just like I said, I could walk out my door and just pick a random person that looks like me and just ask them the question, and I'm guaranteeing if you try the same experiment, you'll probably come out as successful as I was. Hardly any. I mean, I think my track record is maybe 8 out of 10, where I just pick them randomly. Hey, I bet you can't go back 3 sets of grandparents on either side, and they'll look at me and they'll say, "Well, brother, you know what? Now that you're thinking about it, I really can't." And it's a fact that I really hate bringing up, but it's one of those things that when I talk to the individuals in my care unit here in Baltimore, in my care unit in Atlanta and Pennsylvania, I get the same result. And the one thing for sure, 2 things for certain, is once I bring that to people's attention, they start being more aware. I mean, it may not just, they may not after that conversation just know, oh, I know exactly what racism is, but they have one thing in mind, like, whoa, I really need some repair. You know what I'm saying? I may have thought that everything was okay. I just went in this store and bought a Christmas gift, but now I understand, hold up, I really need some repair. And so, this is the type of thing that I feel like if we continue to do, we will change the current state of where Black people are to a better, more constructive and more conducive state. But right now, we're like right in the middle of that tipping scale, where it can go either way. But as long as brothers like you and I and others just keep pushing it'll keep going more towards the constructive side of that scale. But we are I think that I really think that we are waking up. More of us are waking up more than us staying asleep.
Yeah, so I want to add to it. Let me add to
it,
because once I'm listening to you, and as I listen to you, I could kind of come up with some concepts that drive some of your points, through. I think I can contribute to what you're saying. And
right.
One thing I'm listening to you, and I see that you're saying that there has to be some examples of how to be. And I know that Mr. Fuller, like you was saying about him, he has provided a great example of how to be through his perseverance of staying on code.
Mm-hmm.
And then also I'm listening to you, and the state of Black people, I would say that we are on serious dope right now. And that drug is the concept of the being like the system that we've been raised in. The concepts that we get in our heads. The what you mentioned, you were talking about basically the humanization process where we've been stripped of everything as being, slave breaking, and going through all of these different modes of slavery, which we're still in right now. It's like it's a drug called white supremacy racism, where we look to them as leads of how to be, and we shouldn't do that. We should look at that as how not to be, because every time you try to imitate their ideology, that's like being on drugs, because it's superficial and artificial. So the antidote is things that you're speaking about, logic, and we get a lot of this information from Neely Fuller. But if we just really think about things, if we start to think logical and being on a code, I think that, like you said, we will, tip that scale. And it's going to take individuals like yourself, and I'm going to say myself, because I'm doing my best. I didn't came from, I was a serious devil chaser back in the day, trying to justify my incorrectness. Ain't no justification for incorrectness. You got to just accept that you were wrong And now it's time to do right and keep it going and do what you're doing. But excellent, man. I'm happy that I got in contact with you, brother, because you got it going on. Okay, so
well, I'm striving to get better. I'm striving to get better, and you brought up a very very distinct and great point, man. You know, all of us trying to justify our wrongness. You know, justify. Well, yeah, I'm doing this, but I do this because. You know, my grandfather, you know, he used to tell me back when I was in high school, I guess back in the 90s. I'm putting a time date on me, but back in the 90s, man, my granddad, he used to really be at the time I thought he was a real a-hole. You know, I really thought he was an asshole, and he always used to do things like you know, he would come downstairs and you know, back in the day when you had the jukebox and you was looking at videos, you know, with half-naked women on there, and my grandfather would come downstairs, why are you looking at all these naked women on TV? And I'm looking at him like, it's just a music video, you know? But I didn't understand the significance of him trying to teach me back then black self-respect. He's like, look, man, you're looking at all these degrading things. You're going to turn into what you're looking at all the time. And I would always try to do exactly what you said. I would try to justify my stupidity or my wrongness, like, oh, it's just a music video. You know what I'm saying? Not understanding that what was in this video, what I was watching is what I was normalizing to him, something that's not normal. It wasn't even logically right to be, you know, it wasn't even constructive. So I think we go through that phase, man, definitely as young black men and women coming up in this system of racism, white supremacy, the tools that racism, white supremacy uses to oppress us mentally and physically, we then go and use those same devices to further do those damages to ourselves. And just like you said earlier, that bleeds into the horror days, the birthdays, the celebrating when there's really nothing to celebrate about. You know, I posted a question on my Facebook page. I was really new to this Facebook thing, so my Facebook page is probably about 5 or 6 years old. But I can remember when I first started posting on my page about conscious things and just being aware. I would ask a question, can you have a good time in jail? And you would be surprised of all of the yeses I got on this post. And I just felt it was really, right, I just felt like it was really crazy because I can remember just listening to Neely Fuller. And at this point in time, I just got put on to Jason Black. And Jason Black made this commentary, man, that I'm gonna tell you, all of the young children that I have in my care unit, I saved this commentary that he made, and Jason Black probably made this commentary that I'm talking about close to, I want to say close to 6, maybe 7 years ago. And he probably redid it since then, maybe once or twice, but it was called The Intelligent Rant. And it's almost like after I introduced Neely Fuller's body of work to young individuals, because I get to most of the care unit members that I have here in Baltimore, I bought them their own copies of Neely Fuller's Word Guide and the Compensatory Concept book and ISIS papers, because I feel like these are 3 books every black person should have.
Repeat that, please.
The ISIS papers and Neely Fuller's body of work, the Word Guide and the Compensatory Concept need to be given to every black person in existence. That should be every black person's Bible. All 3 of those combined. And along with, if I could add that CD or copy of The Intelligent Rant by Jason Black, because I find myself, I think me and Jason are close to the same age, or he might be slightly older than me, but I find that a lot of things that I hear Mr. Neely Fuller say, even Frances Cress Welsing before she made her transition, a lot of these things that they teach us, my dad didn't teach me these things. He probably didn't know them. He probably didn't know these things. But for individuals like these individuals that I named, that I learned these lessons from, I don't feel like it's important who you get the message from. But when you get the information, I feel like you should keep passing it down. And I feel like if we concentrate on getting the theories of these three bodies of work, we will evolve back to the logical beings or universal people, universal beings that we should be. So I just really, as far as my care unit goes, I really try to pound on that point of being logical and always having Black self-respect. You know what I'm saying? Respecting yourself first and foremost. Because something that Mr. Neely Fuller said, and I have to keep going back to Neely Fuller, respect. Your respect has nothing to do with me, just like my respect has nothing to do with you. My respect has everything to do with me, first and foremost. If I cannot respect myself, then there's no possible way that I'm going to respect anyone else. And Neely Fuller has taught me that, and in teaching me that, I try to teach that to my children. I try to teach that to their friends, and encourage them to teach that to their friends and their offspring that they will have. That's the only way that we're gonna evolve and get better. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, white supremacy is working around the clock, man. It's dumbing down It's dumbing down most of us. I mean, come on, man. You got people out here walking around with a mask and don't even know how this disease is being transmitted. I mean, how backwards is that?
Okay, listen. I gotta. You kind of flowing with the flow of the questions, because I was just about to ask you about that.
Okay.
What is your opinion of COVID-19?
My opinion of COVID-19 is this, and I've said this to my children, and I think I'll say it the same way that I said it to them, because I keep repeating this. I'm not saying that it's not a disease or a virus out here called COVID-19. But what I am saying is we have to, and when I say we, I'm talking about non-white people, have to be more informative. And on top of being informative, we have to really, really tap into that universal gift that was given to all of us, which is logic. We have to start being real logical people and stop. And it's a reason for our emotional side, but we have to use that emotion and back it with logic. Because the COVID-19 situation, I'm pretty much I think I feel the same way that Mr. Bobby feels when it comes to COVID-19. This is definitely a planned situation. If anybody that's listening, they can do their own research. But I have a book called Foreign Affairs The Next Pandemic. This book was published back in, I don't want to get it wrong, but I believe that this book was published back in 2005. And I bought this book from a brother that I would like to think is a Jegna here in Baltimore, but one of my brothers, his name is Donald Smith. He every once in a while his library gets so big he sells books, sells his book. And I bought this book off this guy, and real intelligent black brother, and he had some things already highlighted in the book, but I highlighted some things myself, and this was back in 2007 or 2008. I have highlighted in the book that the U.S. U.S. national security would have a planned pandemic in 2020. Now, when I read this thing, I didn't think nothing of it because it's 2007. It's just like, oh, okay, whatever. But when this thing came out, this whole scare, and they started shutting everything down, and I thought about the book, and I said, wow, I went straight to the book, the page that I highlighted. I posted it on my Facebook page, and I said, wow, this was in a book that was printed in 2005. This is 15 years later. What's in this book is happening right now, and this isn't a Bible, this isn't Revelations or anything like this. This is nothing religious. This is straight just information. It wasn't a label or the information. It was just information.
Okay, so can you mention the name of that book again and the author?
Yes, actually it has a few authors, and I'm actually trying to find a screenshot because I'm not in front of my library right now, but it's called Foreign Affairs, The Next Pandemic, and it was, I'm sure if you Google this book, they still probably have it on Amazon. It was printed in 2005, and I'm about to find that title in detail for you. But it just blew my mind when I came across this information, because I was just thinking to myself, I couldn't be the only person to see this. But then when I started hearing everybody talk about, oh, this is a pandemic, and it just made me look at this information like, wow, man, he put this information right out in front of us, and it's almost like it's just a big old insult. Hey, you big dummy. Yeah, I put this information out here, and yeah, guess what? I'm going to run the same trick on you and see if you get it. And then, individuals like me, myself, you, we might, hey, this is something that was planned. But, when you got the whole masses being so emotional, they just look right past, that this was something that was planned, or that they put this in a book 15 years prior, and now they're actually doing it. No one wants to investigate because everybody is running around scared, and, not even just scared, but scared, putting on masks, fussing at people that don't have, all this stuff was just created so that we can just fuss at each other and fight each other instead of fighting the real problem. Can I
just say something real quick?
Absolutely.
I just gotta say this. I'm about 6'4", near 250. Okay.
Okay.
And it's an older lady in the store. This was about a week and a half ago. She was older than me. I'm in my 50s, so I figured she was either in her 60s or she was probably in her 60s. So the little blue markings on the ground at the grocery store.
Absolutely.
So she's right sitting there, kid you not, about 2 feet from the cash register person. And I'm beyond 6 feet. But the blue marking is maybe could be about 12 feet, right?
Okay.
So she pointed to me to make me, as if she's going to make me move back, to the blue spot. I was like, excuse me? She said, you see that? I said, wait a minute. I said, excuse me, lady, do you know that we're more than 6 feet apart right now? See, she wasn't even thinking about the CDC regulations. It's 6 feet.
Right.
And I'm more like 8 feet away from her. And I'm like, people are really mentally inept. Not only are you taking the word of a person, of a system that constantly suppresses you and oppress you and puts you through slavery, you're not even thinking. It was crazy, man, but keep going.
Right. And that's that. That was a great example, man. I see that every day, to the point where people are actually fighting, but you're not even thinking. I think I had this conversation with one of my female colleagues. She was going off. Oh yeah, and actually the title of that book, before I even start on that, was Foreign Affairs: The Next Pandemic. And I just sent you a screenshot of the picture, but it has probable cause, getting prepared, a human-animal link, the lessons of HIV and AIDS. All of these are subdivisions within this book, and they have various authors that you can see. Over, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Probably like 10 people that, put into this book. So, I actually just sent you a picture of the page that I, highlighted the information back in 2008 or 7, and the title part. But back to what you were saying, yes, we are almost trained to be emotional first, and either be emotional first and think second, or be emotional totally and don't think at all. Wow. And this pandemic has been a clear example of this. Just like I was saying, I was talking to one of my female friends. She's actually a nurse, and I was explaining to her that okay, I was born in the 70s. All the way up until this point, I've had a stomach virus. Okay, I'm sure everybody in the world had a stomach virus before, 24-hour virus. You eat something bad and you feel bad, you get it out your system, and it's done. I said, all these viruses that I've ever came across, none of them ever had legs. They never jumped. So all that social distancing, like 12 feet apart, I definitely don't get that. Even if a person has a cold, 6 feet apart, if I'm 6 feet away from a person, if a person is coughing outright, like without covering their mouth, 6 feet apart, I can't even get those germs. Okay, now this isn't Brother Mooco saying, this is science. So it just made me think of the actual specific boundaries that they put in place, and nobody ever took time to actually look up what an actual coronavirus is. It is an animal to human link. So one of the most common logical things that a person would have to think is, okay, let me see, if this virus is found in an animal, shouldn't someone be telling me not to eat the animal? How about changing my diet? How about, they were the first two things that just came across my head. Like, okay, if it's found in an animal, stop eating meat. No one has said that. No one has proposed putting the chicken bone down or putting the burger down. But
okay, what about this?
Okay.
What about these people that got dogs in the house?
Oh man. I'm gonna tell you something, black man. I never caught the logics of having a pet when you don't own a home. I see and I even see it in my neighborhood, man. I can step out the house, I'll see a young black pretty girl in a messed up ride with a dog on her lap in her car. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, okay, I know you don't own your home. Why are you having a pet is like having a child. So
Really,
I just don't get the whole dog, the whole pet thing. I know an individual that has a pet pig. And you know, well, if you don't know, I should have said this in the beginning. I have my own home improvement company, you know, just a small thing, maintenance on wheels, where I go to residents' houses and, you know, I may do, you know, plumbing repairs, but I'm actually a certified heating and air conditioning guy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm in and out of individuals' houses every day, all day, even since this COVID-19 thing has started. I've not been sick, but of course I don't eat meat. But I haven't been sick. I haven't had as much as a flu shot or tetanus shot in about close to 20 years. And I wouldn't recommend anybody getting any type of shots, especially right now. But I stand, saying all that to say to bring it to this point. I haven't ever seen a virus jump, and since this thing has been in effect, I do mostly deal with Black families. So I'm in and out of Black individuals' houses every day, all day. And just like I said, I haven't been sick. I'm not out here trying to get sick, you know, but I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to, you know, go up for the guilty player of the year, but I'm not covering my mouth every time I go in people's houses. And I'm definitely not covering my mouth or my nose when I'm outside when it's sunny and hot, and that sun can give me more energy and nutrients than covering my mouth up, sucking in my carbon dioxide back in my mouth. That doesn't make sense. You know, it's not even logical. But again, you know, I walk outside my house, old people, young people, mid-aged people got their mouth covered. So I ask the question, I say, well, your body needs what to live? And they'll say, what do you mean? I'll say, well, your body breathes in what? Oh, it breathes in oxygen. Yeah, so what does it, when you exhale, what do you think comes out of your mouth? You'd be surprised. A lot of people say oxygen. So, yeah, we have a lot of work to do, and being logical is just at the top of the list. You know, just being logical is at the top of the list. And I think another vital thing would to know your job. As a man and a woman, you know, as a man, you should know what your job as a man is. As a woman, you should know what your job as a woman is. And
okay, you excuse me, are you telepathic? Okay. You know what the next question is?
What's that?
What is the state of black male and female relationships?
Oh man. Oh yeah, he's right. I am kind of jumping right into it, right? And I didn't know what those questions were, by the way, right? Where we at now is we are in pre-K. When I say pre-K, when it comes to male and female power dynamics, you know, another thing, my brother Jason Black, man, he hits dead on with this. We don't even understand the power dynamic between a man and a woman. So that goes back to what I was just saying. For us to even strengthen that dynamic or even understand it, we have to understand our jobs. And most of us don't understand our jobs to even teach it to our offspring correctly. So that's why we have a lot of girls wanting to be guys and guys wanting to be girls. You know, that's why we have that thing out here like that, because men, the young men or the men of our generation and the ones above us a little bit, some of us weren't taught what our job was. We weren't taught that we were guiders and protectors. We were tricked and duped into thinking that we were some kind of producers, when in fact, when I was born, my father could not produce anything for me what I was yearning. I was hungry, and the only person that could provide or provide that nurturing was my mother, because she had the food to feed me. You know, she didn't have to go to the store and get it. She didn't have to go to the White Zaddy and get it. She had it right in her breast. So, see, in my family, my elders taught me that, hey, look, you are a man. Your job is to be a guider. You are a guider and you are a protector. And I always thought, like, a guider? Yeah, well, when you get your family, your job is to guide your family in the right direction. And not just guide them in the right direction, but when you obtain all of those goods that you obtain when you do a thing called breadwinning, those things that you obtain, it is your job to protect them. Okay? Not just the individuals in your family, but all the things that you obtain. This is the job of a man. But now in today's society, what are women saying? Most of the women are saying, oh yeah, I'm independent. I make my own money. I don't need no man for nothing. When no matter how much money a woman makes, as a matter of fact, I beg to differ, the more money a woman makes, the more she needs a black man around her to protect it. Because, I mean, this is why we are in the situation we are in today. You know, so men have been tricked out of what their jobs, well, men and women actually have been tricked into not knowing what their purposes are. You know what I'm saying? And now you have women out here that are, sure enough, trying to be the man. And they're finding out that no matter how successful they are, no matter how much, quote unquote, bags, ain't that what they call it now? Getting the bag. No matter how much of the bag that they have got, you know, you still need a man. Because if you're a woman, there's no way that you can be a man. There's no way you can do the man's job. And vice versa. Is absolutely no way a man can do a woman's job. No way. And I mean, we see the evidence of that today. Look at Bruce Jenner. What's his name now? Caitlyn, or what he's going by today? Dog, cat. I mean, who knows? You know, and again, this is what Biden is, our new president, right? He just put in that bill. You know, you can consider yourself a cat today, then we have to respect it. We have to call you cat. You know, these are the idiots that we voting for today. So, yeah. Black men and women, our power dynamic is all messed up, man. And it's not. I'm not saying that it cannot be corrected. I really have the faith, and I really know that we can correct it. But it's going to take a lot of it's going to take a lot of self-analyzing and really coming to terms with yourself. Like, look, I've been doing shit wrong. Excuse my French. I've been doing it totally wrong. I need to get on code. And that brings me into my other thing. I have a clothing line that I actually started this year. It's called Be More Codified. And what I do is I put agenda messages on these shirts. And they have different messages, but most of them are dealing with reparations and how we should be a protected class, and how schools will no longer be weaponized against black people. I think Jason Black laid this out before. Ice Cube did it again. And, you know, just like what you said, passing the baton. I feel like this is part of passing the baton, keeping black people visually aware of what the hell we need to be fighting for right now and what we need to stop doing, you know. So, yeah, well, you know, that power dynamic.
Did I add to that?
Heavy work.
Yeah. We need to fight. We need to fight for our minds, you know. We imitate too much. We need to fight for our minds, our mental capacities, because like I said earlier, we are taking their ideology and think it's going to fit for us, when we're in the position that we're in. It doesn't make sense. It's not logical. You can't be something that you're not. You can't. So you need to become yourself. And logic, and use your logic and your being on code, doing things in a constructive manner. That's what we should be doing. And we got to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask you the last question that I have for you.
Okay.
And you've probably been talking about this the whole time. What can black people do to improve their condition?
Be logical. Be more logical. You know, we need a double dose of logic every day. We need to stop being so emotional, and we need to really start having conversations or discussions with one another. And what I mean by that is not arguing with one another. You know, the one most important thing that I've seen during this election that just passed is black people argue with each other and not even have inkling of evidence to support their arguments. And this is something that is real vital to our survival. You know, if we don't get it correct right now, it's sad. I don't even want to say, I don't even want to speak into existence what's going to happen if we don't get it together now. That's why we're going to get it together. That's why we're getting it together now. Because right now we're at the worst. Right now we are as bad as it could possibly get right now.
Yeah.
So we really don't have no room but to make it better. You know, when you're back against the wall, you know, you're going to fight to get yourself out the corner. And that's where we at right now. You know, right now we don't have no choice but to rely on each other. And that's one thing that this COVID situation has brought us to do. You know, a lot of people are being emotional, and I know I said a bunch of other things negative, but one thing that I do see is that it is making us come together. You know, and
gotta do it.
I have to say that that's at least we are seeing that we have to come together for something. Now the job is getting organized and, just like you said, fighting against what we know is designed to make us fail, you know?
Yeah.
In every area of people activity. And, you know, even from this last election has really taught me a lot about people that look like me. Is one thing is, once we get emotional, logics just go right out the window. You know, I had so many family members calling me, "You're not going to vote, but we need to get Trump out." And now we have a president that's in office, and he laid out his plan for the first 100 days, and it did not have anything specifically for black people, period. And black people are actually celebrating. There go that word again, you know, celebrating. And for what? Because you actually got nothing for your vote. So, we got a long way to go.
I'll have a question for most people. What is the difference between what we were some 400 years ago to now, and from one president to the next? What is the difference?
Oh, man, that's a good question.
Besides a false sense of existence with them, you know. I don't understand why we think that wanting to be around something that don't want to be around you, never wanted to be around you, just wanted to use you for your whatever you could do for them, which is be a slave. What
Right.
makes them think that anything is going to change? What has to change is you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
We got to change, because every time I got a paper, well, it's a poem that I extended called "Why Do You Chase the Devil?"
Okay. Oh, I
And
didn't get to read that one yet. I'm looking forward to that one.
well, it's basically saying you already know what is wrong. So why are you constantly chasing that? You already know that everything you got from this, whatever you want to call it, savage,
Right.
everything
right.
you got from the savage has been wrong. And the savage has been treating you wrong. What makes it? Why
Right.
would you want to be with that? What is your problem?
Right.
That's
right.
my question. Why do you chase the devil? For what?
Confusion. Confusion
Oh,
is like
man.
a drug. That
It's
confusion
a question
is like a
mark
drug.
behind that.
Yeah.
It's a question.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's what. And you got to think. It's a thoughtful question. I'm sitting up here. Okay, I wanted to drink. I want to drink. And I know it's gonna get me drunk.
Right.
I know I'm not gonna act like I should act. So why
Okay.
am I doing it? Why?
Well,
I'm gonna raise up my hand. I participated.
right.
Not anymore.
Right. At some point, you have to. At some point, when you know better, you are responsible with doing better. And
Thank you.
And that's just as simple as I could put it. I mean, I don't even know if that was like an answer, but that's where we are right now. Now that we know better, we have to do better. And I think for some people, they see it, but they are petrified of it. You know, and to actually, to actually do the action of doing something, man, that's hard. You know, I'm not saying this like it's easy. I know it's hard. I mean, I get up every day. I get out here and I beat this pavement, and that's because every day that I get up, the first thing that comes to mind is, all right, what are you going to do today? You know, not, oh, man, I don't feel like doing nothing. No, it's like, what are you going to do today? You know, because one thing for sure, two things for certain, I can go outside and I can shake my head every time I see a brother walk past that's trying to be a female. I can shake my head at that. But ultimately, Brother Mooco, what are you going to do? Yeah, I see you shaking your head at that guy. You know, you might not agree with, you know, him trying to, you know, live his life fantasy out as being a female. All right, you shaking your head at it, but what you going to do about it? You know what I'm saying? And that's the purpose of the care unit. You know what I'm saying? That's the purpose why I reach out to different individuals in different states. My sons, their friends, my daughters, their friends. This is why I always start the conversation. You know, and I constantly beat the drum because I just can't keep sitting shaking my head, you know, doing pointless arguments with people when that's not getting anything constructive done, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so arguing and fighting is the last thing, the last thing on my mind about doing with my own people, you know, or with people that look like me. But we have a long way to go, and I am positively sure that we are going to make this change happen. You know, that's something for sure. I mean, I really feel positive about that. I do. You know, a lot of people say, "Oh man, we ain't never going to get reparations," and I agree with them. No, we ain't never going to get reparations, but I do feel like we're going to take it.
Well, can I say something about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I was listening to Neely Fuller, and he breaks down words all the time. And he said repair. Reparations mean to repair. So
right.
Who's best to repair you? You. Now, money is a tool. It's necessary in our society because we need it to get our essential things, food, clothing, and shelter. We're tied into this system. But what are we doing to repair our minds? Because we need to repair our mentalities. We need to become better. Now, I can admit to some things, and it was difficult. I did something last night, but it was difficult because we have conviction in what we think when we think we're right at what we're doing.
Right.
I had to accept that what I was doing was incorrect, and I had to accept that my wife put me in line with that incorrectness. And I had to take it because I'm in education and I misspelled a word that I've been using. We doing this education online now. And none of my students caught it. And I had a word that I've been using since we've been online. And my wife said, "Man, what are you doing? That's not how you spell that word." And then I was like, okay. So I went and looked up what she told me the correct spelling, but I said, okay, let me look this up to make sure. So when I went to the computer to look it up, the computer gives you a couple of definitions for the word.
Okay.
And I said, okay, this word means this. And it was extended. It had extended definitions, but it wasn't showing on the computer. And so I'm going back and forth with my wife about, okay, I'm right, or I'm not right, or I'm just saying that what you said it don't mean that because it's right here. And so she wouldn't waver because I told her to leave out the room, leave me alone.
Right.
She didn't waver, and she came up with the definition that fit the correct spelling that she had. And I was like, oh, man, I thought I was on to something. But I had to admit that
she stayed on.
She was like, okay, I know this, because she does more. She worked with words more. I'm a math dude, so I just do math all day. So she corrected me. I was like, dang, and I had to eat that.
Right.
I had to eat it, and we have to. This.
Now let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
How did that make you feel? How did that make you feel?
I knew that once she pointed it out to me, I knew that the word that I was using was incorrect. Okay. But I guess I wanted to be right about something, trying to hold on to a little pride.
Right.
It made me feel that, we have to be a little bit more patient too. That's what it's telling me. I need to be a little bit more patient and be more open and not be so. It's tough. It's tough. It's just that we're learning. We're constantly learning. And we have to accept some things at times and move on. Take it like, okay, I was wrong. You're right. And let's move on. That's part of the black male and female relationship. You got to be able to accept when you was wrong. So that's what I kind of got from it. I needed to be a little bit more patient. That's all.
Well, let me add to that. I think what observing your story, I think that falls under the column of showing off how much knowledge you have, and just the point of wanting to be right about something, and you're right. We have to be more patient. We have to be more patient about the information we come across and gaining new information, So sometimes, and this is just a trend that I noticed, even with myself earlier, us being corrected. A lot of us don't want to be corrected. When we get a certain age, we just feel like we we feel like the learning process has stopped. And it's something that I appreciate Mr. Fuller for all the time, every time, anytime I've ever asked Mr. Fuller, so how are you doing, Mr. Fuller? It's always been on code. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
And the more and more I try to get codified with my speech and the words that I use, that helps me stay on code. Because what it does is when I call, say, just for an example, if I call my mom on the phone, I'm no longer using the word, yeah, mom, well, our family is crazy, or our family is this or that. I use the word care unit. And what that does is, that does two things. It reminds me of the correct terminology to use when I'm describing my position or my condition in this society today when it comes to relating to people that I consider my blood relatives. And the next thing it does is it causes those relatives to then ask me, well, what is a care unit? Now that is passing knowledge down, even if it's to an elder, because I have a few elders in my family that are older than me. And when I started using this word care unit and other words like that, and asking questions about the words that they use, it brings on that thing, that valuable thing that I said that we need to start doing as non-white people. It brings on discussions, not arguments, questions and answers. They're then asking me, well, what is a care unit? And then after asking me what a care unit is, they might not use the term immediately after, but eventually, after hearing me repeat it enough times, guess what? My mother used the word care unit now. My brother uses the word care unit now. My son uses the word care unit now. They no longer say family because now they have a clear understanding of, oh, okay, this isn't really a family because my dad can't protect me from the police or the race soldier. My dad can't protect me from white racist man or white racist woman. So therefore, wow, we aren't a family. We aren't a family, but he does care about me because he shows me and he teaches me to use my logics, and he teaches me the importance of the words that I use. And so, yeah, he cares for me. So every time they see the evidence of it, more and more, they'll start using the words, the codified words. And then when they're using the codified words, guess what? That'll just open up another door. Oh, okay, well, me being prejudiced, that's not me being racist. I can't be racist. Being prejudiced saves lives. Okay, I'm prejudiced to this street, so I won't walk down this street because there's a lot of violence on this street. Instead, I'll go down the other street. That's you being prejudiced to the violent street so that you won't lose your life. So, we have been taught from childhood the totally wrong way, the total backwards way. And that's not an insult to any other elders that may have taught us these ways. We have to keep in mind that the reason why we were taught these ways were for different reasons, protective reasons, the whole thing behind this whole religious thing, well, that really started from our elders trying to gather and meet and do constructive things. But
yes, sir,
we have been duped into believing that this was something that they actually believed and this was the way, so just the way that we are interacting with each other, I think the more and more we speak and be on code, the more it'll come into existence, and we will no longer be trying to be on code. We will be on code. But it's a
Yes,
process.
sir.
It's a process. And right now we're going through that process, and I'm here for the long haul, man. I'm here to hopefully continue and continue to work Francis Cress Welsing and Neely Fuller Jr. and just being on code and being a codified people, and
Yes.
just correct the wrongs that we have been taught, so that we can then move on to being a repaired people, so that we can get the things that are owed to us, but furthermore that are owed to the generations that aren't even born yet. You know what I'm saying? Right
Yes,
now, we fighting that war. We're fighting the war for them. Right now, we're fighting the war for the future generation to exist.
we got to set the table and prepare the correct food.
Right, and I want to add to what you just said, brother. We are the table. That's something that brother always tells me. Yeah, we are the table, man, and we have to realize that. We have to realize that we are the table, and now it's time for us to build off of that. You know what I mean? If we that goes into the same thing about us being duped about our purpose and our job. Black men are taught that you have to come to a black woman and say, well, what are you going to bring to the table? Nah, man, you're a black man. You coming to a woman, hey, I'm the table. So now let's build.
Yes. Powerful, brother. Powerful.
Yeah, we're definitely getting there, and I just think with the continuance of your platform, man, I appreciate you for letting me, even inviting me to your platform. I'm willing to come back again, because there's a lot of other issues that we have to iron out just for our young soldiers, to stay on code. And I want to say, by the way, before I forget, I am proud of all of the soldiers, young soldiers in the street, at these protests, and out there on the front lines. I just want to commend them, man. The ones in Atlanta, the ones out in Minnesota and in Chicago, even in Baltimore here, and in Cali over there, man. Stay hitting it hard, man, and y'all stay codified out there, and just I know it's hard to say. I know it's hard to be safe when you're at war, but just keep your head on the swivel, man. Just pay attention to your surroundings, because right now they're using everybody. They even using us against us. So just recognize when you're being used, so that you can stop that. And I think the best way to recognize that is to everybody that's listening right now, go to producejustice.com, get you the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept by Neely Fuller Jr. I would recommend, the revised extended edition. Get the Word Guide. And if you haven't got it, get 3 copies of the ISIS papers, because it's needed, and make your children read it. And not just read it once and put it up on the shelf. I mean, keep it every day, because one thing for sure, 2 things for certain. We got a lot of, the 10 stops in there. I mean, stop name calling. I mean, just basic stuff that will change your life. So this is just the start, but it is a start to a great outcome, a constructive outcome. And that's what we need right now more than ever. We need the most constructive outcome, and we need to produce it right now. We need to produce it right now without fail. And that's something that I
Okay,
think
well,
we would do with platforms like yours, Mr. Fuller's, and everybody else's that we have on this team of what I like to call the new black media, which you are a part of, brother. This is a awesome platform.
well, let me just say this, man. I mean, you know, the words that you speak is very informative and powerful, and I think we really have to have people listen to more people like yourself. You are invited to be a part of the Community Education Network platform as one of the people who actually, you know, can join in and be a part of on a consistent basis. So it's totally up to you. You got an open invitation, and hopefully people listen to, you know, the words that you're speaking of, and the logic that you speak of, and everything that you're saying is on point to me. You know, I'm learning as I do what I do, and it's excellent. And we just got to keep doing what we're doing. And any last words, brother?
Well, I do appreciate that offer and that extended offer, and I will definitely take you up on that. I guess my last words to the audience is be as constructive as you possibly can in these non-constructive times.
Yeah.
You know, to strive to be constructive. That's the best advice I can give. Be constructive in everything that you do. And brothers and sisters, pay attention to what you're putting in your mouths. You know, you are what you eat. I know we probably all been hearing that since Saturday morning cartoons, you know, back in the day, but it's a serious and true term. You know, we gotta watch what we putting in our bodies. And because if you you are what you eat, and you cannot produce justice if you are, you know, if you are not healthy. So yeah, they're the last words for now. I'm sure I'll have more last words in the future to come. But for right now, just be as, you know, we are at war. We are at war, y'all. We're at war.
Yes, sir.
And we have no friends.
Yes. The theme of the platform that we're presenting is called Each One Teach One.
Serious.
So you definitely been teaching us this evening, and I can't wait for the next collaboration, brother. Appreciate you.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to it. And again, thank you to the family, and I'm happy to be on board.
All right, brother. Well, I'm gonna say good night for now, and we'll be talking real soon.
Absolutely, and everyone out there, including yourself, brother, stay blacktastic and be blacktastic.
There you go. All right, brother.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
All right.